I was born and raised in the Detroit area, on the other side of 8 Mile, about 5 miles from the city center, and also Craig, my co-producer and co-cinematographer, also from the area. So there was that started the whole conversation around the office of what to do next and what was happening to our hometown. Our parents both still live in the area, and much of our family. And so that was the initial impetus, was a conversation that happened at the office to make the film. And also, I'm the daughter of a manufacturer. So my father had a family business that made parts for the auto industry. So I feel like I'm a daughter of American manufacturing in the sense that it put me through college, and I didn't realize what all of that meant when I was growing up. But over the years, I've thought more and more about what's happening to our manufacturing base. So the combination of those interests really was the impetus. But once we went filming in October 2009, we brought our cameras there just to see what we'd find, just on a whim. We stayed with our parents, you know, brought Tony Harbin, our cinematographer, and we started filming, and we filmed for 3 days. And I have filmed all over the world, Saudi Arabia and Cuba and Malawi, etc. And it was not only the most cinematic place, it was under my nose all these years, but it was the most cinematic place I'd ever brought a camera, which was startling. And just the urgency of the way people spoke to us. There was a real urgency, and it didn't feel like a local story so much. We felt like something bigger. And so we basically decided there I would get back to New York. We cut together a little trailer, went to Sundance that year with another film, and would finish screenings of 12th and Delaware, and we would start showing on an iPod our trailer, and we raised the first $120,000 at the festival to start shooting. So we were very ready to go.
Detroiters kind of had a wall around initially, just because there was a lot of people coming from the outside and doing pieces such as the Nightline piece. Another local person came by and found the one person hunting raccoons and put that on as a story.
Yeah,
so
the low-hanging fruit had been done.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And so it took a tremendous amount of time to build those relationships, especially with the mayor's office. What you saw in the one scene was basically the result of 6 months of every single day checking in, hoping that we would actually get access. You know, I think that Detroiters have seen the writing on the wall for a very long time, and I think they were eager to tell the story, but they wanted to make sure that, you know, we would do an appropriate job, you know, with that.
There's this real insider-outsider, us versus them mentality. Is a real chip on the shoulder of Detroiters, there's a lot more than that. There's a lot of affection for their city, and so they were a funny bunch in terms of subjects. Nobody was dying to be filmed. I mean, the best characters in documentary we found don't really care if you're there or not, and the best characters in documentaries are exactly the same if the camera is rolling or not. The same.
There's the new creative class that are just showing up, and there's lifelong Detroiters, and those two populations are headed for a collision, I think. There's really no interaction between the two groups right now. The people on the porch talking about urban farming and drop the tomato. I mean, the urban farming is something talked about in the new arrival, that community for the last 2 years, and a lot of Detroiters have been out of that conversation completely, and that scene just shows the disconnect. That, something that's been widely talked about, and they had no idea whatsoever. And they live in the neighborhoods where the urban farming would actually take place. So I think that Detroit, with the arrival of the new creative class is wonderful, but they're going to have to figure out a way to integrate in order to obviously be any type of successful as a city as a whole.
This is our contribution to, there seems to be a real moment of national anxiety in the country right now. There's a lot of talk of, is American exceptionalism true or false? Are we on decline, or is the decline inevitable? Are we no longer great? Have we lost our edge? All of these questions that people seem that they want to talk about. I think if we'd made this film 5 years ago, it wouldn't be released in 50 cities, and this wouldn't be happening. I think that this is our contribution to this conversation, our cinematic contribution to a conversation about which way this country is going to go forward. It's also, I hope that it reflects and reminds people the importance of having industry in this country, and that we don't just have to keep mindlessly and blindly selling the store, And I think that without corporate America coming to the table in some kind of, in a real way, we couldn't even get any of the corporations that we spoke to in this film or that we profiled to speak to us at all. So that's a bad sign. I think there really needs to be a collective conversation about how we're going to not just keep pushing the middle class into the working poor and just keep farming all these jobs out. There's got to be a way these companies can continue to make a profit and not just remove all the jobs because there's no industry or sector to replace them.